Good morning, Sully.
What's happening, man? We got all the boys in here fired up early. They're all in early. Schweimer, Josh Henning, the producer, intern Tyler, Scooter. They're all eagled up. They all got their Eagles gear on.
Hey, it's Birds game day, and the temperature's dropping a little bit, man. Everybody's all jacked up. Here's hoping the birds can, the good birds, the green birds, can pull it out.
The temperature's rising, man. Everybody's getting all fired up.
Well, it's rising in a way, but it was pretty balmy yesterday, and trust me, it don't feel like that today.
So what's going on, man? Fill us in on the high school wrestling scene. We got the Virginia Duels going on this weekend, right?
Yeah, got the Virginia Duels going on. South Jersey had 4 teams down there. Okay, St. Augustine was in kind of the higher bracket, I guess you would call it. And then in the bottom one, it was Haddonfield, Camden Catholic, and Gateway. Now, these 4 teams are all in our top 8 or 9 for the Mat Pack or the Courier-Post, or 10 maybe. So, a lot of talent down there. I know Haddonfield lost last night in the second round, and then Gateway beat the team that beat Haddonfield, so good for those two. St. Augustine lost the first round. Like I said, they had a big lead, and their opponent came back. But the funny thing is, Sully, is that at the Virginia Duels, Camden Catholic last night beat my alma mater from Virginia. So it's kind of cool. Somebody told me, hey, man, isn't this where you went to high school? I'm like, yeah. They're wrestling Camden Catholic right now. So it's pretty neat.
So, Mark, the Menino brothers, Dante and Antonio, what's the all-time family record with those two in terms of practice and just in a living room? Who's got the edge?
I would say it's probably about 50-50, but I'd give the slight edge probably to Antonio. And last year, if you remember, when we got to state tournaments down at Boardwalk Hall, Dante came in number 1.
Right.
He was undefeated. And Antonio had lost once. And then Dante lost a close one in the semifinals, and Antonio won the state championship. So they each finished with, I think, 1 loss. Or Dante may have had 2. I don't remember exactly, but it was really crazy. So I'd give Antonio the slight edge. I mean, he's state champ.
Man, those two kids, they're so fun to watch, man. They're little monsters, and you could tell it's just a wrestling family. Like, they've been going at it. They're twins, obviously. They've been going at it probably since they, were in the crib.
Yeah, and they're excellent people too, Sully, which is really nice. Their family, a great group of folks, and really it's been a pleasure to watch them not only succeed, but to go on and do big things. I know that they'll be going to Drexel to wrestle next season, so good for them.
That's got to be great when you're a college wrestling coach and recruiting, and you're like, wait a minute, there's 2 of these guys? Yeah, we got some spots available.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people kind of assumed that they would be, I don't want to say a package deal, but I mean, they're twins, they're practice partners, they've gone through this their entire lives, but they're very different people. So it wasn't one of those where I'm going to go wherever my brother goes. I believe Dante decided first, and then after thinking about it, Antonio, who had said he wasn't going to go there, he didn't think right away, warmed up to the idea and fell in love with the place and kind of found his own route there. So they both end up there, but it wasn't exactly it wasn't like a package deal, I guess you could say.
How about the Kinners from Kingsway? Are they going to the same school?
No. Trace was at NC State, and
he graduated last year, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And Quinn is going to Ohio State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's he's going to be a Buckeye. That's a pretty big deal. And
will they end up in the same weight class, you think?
I'm not sure about that. Sully, to be honest with you. It would be an uneducated opinion to say one way or another. But
that's always kind of cool when you get brothers going against each other or cousins like the Maxwell boys, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy that they know each other so well, and a lot of these kids do, they grew up. There's so many of them grew up at the same wrestling clubs when you're within a certain proximity, or the same midget program, and they wrestled their entire lives. It's just when they get to high school, we think, oh, wow, what a great bout between this kid and this kid. Well, they may have wrestled 26 times at the time they were 4 years old.
Right.
We don't know that. But, yeah, it's always interesting to find out kind of the back storylines. Anytime there's family involved, it's certainly something.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing fans don't really realize is all these great wrestlers, these elite wrestlers, they spend the entire year wrestling against each other in these tournaments and the club teams and all that stuff. And, I was talking to Jason Kanzig from EHT after he won that Marinelli against the freshman kid from, I think it was Burlington Township, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'll definitely see him again, down the road this year. So they're used to facing the same guys, and it's neat to see when they get to square off against a guy that, it might be the first time that season in the high school, but they probably wrestled a kid, 15 times in their life.
Yeah, and the neat thing about this is that, and I know that there are people who have specific gripes with the way youth sports are now, with the AAU basketball, 7-on-7 football, travel wrestling, every sport, travel softball, year-round stuff. And there are certainly valid complaints to the way that is. But one thing that I really like about it is that the kids know each other and they're familiar with each other. And at the end of the day, a lot of them are friendly off the field or off the mat and push each other, in, like if you're in the same wrestling club, you would push your partner to get better, even if that kid might be on your district rival's team.
Right.
I think it's kind of cool. There's not this, I remember when I was in high school, like our rival high school was 15 miles away, and when we played them, it was like we didn't know who they were. We hated them. We didn't want anything to do with them. They were, we kind of, it was just not. There was that element of rivalry. I don't want to say that's not here anymore, but I think it's nice that these kids understand it's a sport and that they're all working towards the same goal to have success and maybe go on to college and perform, and it's all good.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, Mark. When I was in high school, my younger sister started dating a guy from Central Regional. I went to Lacey, and I was like, what are you doing? Why are you dating a guy from Central? What are you, crazy? And funny thing is, we ended up, me and him ended up going to college together, and we've been friends for, 35 years now or whatever it is.
It is funny how that works out. I know there's some people who went to my rival high school who ended up being very dear and old close friends, so it's cool. But it took us until maybe we got a little older to understand that when these kids now, it's not anything that they think about, which is kind of eliminates that step.
And you mentioned the year-round thing, and that's such a big deal in a sport like wrestling. It's hard to become a really good wrestler when you're not doing it year-round. There's some exceptions to the rule. You look at a guy like Sean Lynch at St. Augustine. He plays football in the fall, rugby in the spring, and just such a good athlete that he can go out there in wrestling season. Obviously, he wrestles some in the off-season, but to dedicate time to those other sports and to yet be considered a guy that may challenge for a state championship in his weight class is pretty impressive.
It absolutely is. Sean's a spectacular wrestler, and I think anytime you have a kid that does that, it tells me, it just tells me that they want to do as many things as possible, which I always, there's a hat off to them for that. Why? Anytime somebody can diversify in any way, shape, or form in life, to me, that's worth a salute. For him to be able to do that, it's great. And some of our best athletes are that way. And it's like now that's not the case so much. It used to be your best athlete might have been the star in all three sports. And while that's changed, it's nice. It's refreshing to see the ones who do it three different sports.
Talk with Mark Trible of the Courier-Post. And Mark, real quick before we let you go, what should we be looking for the next 2 weeks to finish out January? Obviously, February is the big month for wrestling, but anything interesting coming up in the next couple of weekends?
Yeah, we have a lot of big matches coming up, and I'll be straight up with you on that. If you look the next couple of weeks, I think we got a day, maybe the 24th of January. It's a Wednesday that's loaded. I think that night we have Paulsboro and Delsey, Camden Catholic and Cherokee, Northern Burlington and Rancocas Valley. There are some big-time matchups. So you look at the last week, we had Kingsway, I believe, I don't even remember. I think they might have been number 7. They upset St. Augustine, who was number 2. We also had Delsey, went down to Clearview. That was an upset. there's a lot of moving and shaking around here outside of the outside of number one, really.
Uh-huh.
You know, and we're going to find out how it plays out. But that's because we're going to see these teams wrestle in the coming weeks, the next couple of weeks. Because before you know it, Sully, the team tournaments are here, and that lasts a week, and then we get into the individual stuff. So if you want to see good team meet, good dual meets, go out to a local gym near you, and I'm sure you will.
We're going to be all fired up for some blood time coming up soon, man. Get that notebook ready.
Oh, it's ready.
Good stuff, Mark. We appreciate the time, and we'll be diving a lot more into some wrestling over the next couple of weeks, man. Have a great weekend.
All right, Sully. Thanks, brother.
That was Mark Trible of the Courier-Post.